The Newsline.
Hello and welcome back to Newsline, brought to you by People's TV. As you may already know, two special representatives from the U.S. are currently in Israel, Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Both had completed ceasefire talks and returned to the U.S. just a few days ago, but they have since flown back to Israel. In addition, Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio are also in the country. The presence of these high-profile figures suggests that something significant is unfolding, though the exact developments remain unclear. In addition to the U.S. envoys, the head of the Egyptian intelligence service is reportedly in Israel. Yesterday, around 3 p.m. Sri Lankan time, all of these representatives participated in a special round of discussions. According to offshore media, the talks focused on the potential deployment of an international peacekeeping force to the Gaza Strip, with Egypt playing a leading role in the proposal. However, Israel is strongly opposing this move, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has already rejected President Trump's proposal on the matter. Currently, talks are ongoing between three separate parties: the U.S., Egypt, and Israel. Each party has its own objectives. The U.S. seeks to end the war and establish lasting peace. Egypt aims to implement the second phase of the ceasefire agreement, even though the first phase is still underway. Israel, on the other hand, insists that the first phase, specifically, the release of the remaining hostage bodies, be completed before any further steps are taken. Proponents of deploying peacekeeping forces maintain that the primary goal is to accelerate the recovery of the deceased hostages' bodies. Israel, however, contends that Hamas is fully capable of handling this task on its own, arguing that the proposal is simply a means to buy time, a claim that seems to hold merit. Israel is approaching the situation cautiously. With all remaining hostages now released, though the bodies of those who died in captivity have yet to be returned, the country sees no need to hurry and currently holds a strategic advantage in negotiations. Previously, Israel had accommodated nearly every demand to secure the release of the living hostages. Now, however, the situation has shifted. Hamas has lost its leverage, while Israel is focused on establishing enduring stability. The Israeli government is determined to close any gaps that could allow a repeat of events like the October 7th massacre. Additionally, Israel seeks assurances that any future administration in Gaza, following Hamas disarmament, will not pose a renewed threat. Even if former Hamas fighters are integrated into the Palestinian Authority, safeguards are necessary to prevent potential security risks. President Trump, however, appears to be at odds with Israel's approach. He seems intent on accelerating the process to further his own agenda. For context, consider a press conference in which a journalist referred to Trump as the third greatest U.S. president to date. When Trump asked who the first two were, the journalist answered George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Reportedly, Trump was displeased with this assessment, noting that those presidents did not stop any wars, whereas he claimed to have ended 8 conflicts and was on track to stop a 9th. He went on to suggest that, based on his international accomplishments so far, he might even surpass Washington and Lincoln in stature. While these achievements may be notable, if they are pursued primarily for personal prestige rather than effective governance, there is cause for concern. Israel is confronting a serious terrorist threat, and what it needs is a comprehensive, well-planned solution, not a rushed, superficial fix driven by Trump's ego. The presence of Marco Rubio in Israel underscores the seriousness of the situation for the Israeli government. With only President Trump potentially yet to arrive, his involvement cannot be ruled out. Meanwhile, senior Hamas officials are reportedly engaging with Turkey regarding the next phase of the ceasefire agreement. This is highly problematic, as the second phase requires Hamas to disarm, a condition already agreed upon by the U.S., Israel, and other Arab nations. Turkey's involvement raises questions. What exactly is being negotiated? Reports suggest that while Hamas has expressed willingness to relinquish its weapons, it may be using these discussions to secure a role in Gaza's future governance. Qatar and other Arab nations appear to be pursuing similar interests. Israel is fully aware of these developments and may consider withdrawing from the ceasefire negotiations if they persist. This situation likely explains Israel's rejection of the international community's proposal and may be the reason why the U.S. envoy returned to Israel on short notice. It is possible that the U.S. is attempting to pressure Israel into accepting its plan, particularly with Marco Rubio scheduled to meet the IDF chief of staff. Meanwhile, Hamas announced yesterday that it may release a few more hostage bodies by this evening. Stay tuned for further updates on the situation. If this report helped you see the situation on the ground clearly, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to People's TV, where truth has no agenda, and facts speak louder than spin.
subscribe us for more details.